I told my mom the other day that I was gonna start buying the lottery. She asked me why, of course, and I said, well, it's not fair to be solterona and poor. It's either one or the other. Not both, life. Not both. Solterona, or how I learned to stop worrying and love being alone. I am a female in my mid-30s. In American culture at large, I am what scientists and scholars would call an old maid, a lone woman, a spinster. I'm not very sure, but I think that in American culture, being in your mid-30s and hilariously single isn't a big deal. If Sex and the City taught us anything, it's that you could be single and fabulous over 30. Single and fabulous as long as you had money, but that's a different topic altogether. A single woman of good fortune is always respectable. But I am brown with an asterisk, Hispanic female. In the Hispanic culture, if you are over the age of 25 and single, you are a poor, unfortunate solterona. Se te fue el tren, te quedaste vistiendo santos. I am well beyond 25, so my life is over. I have no future. Typically, a straight cisgendered female, like myself, would be desperate to find a man. But no, I quit dating almost 2 years ago now, and I'm single by choice. I don't know if I should put an asterisk on that statement. I'll put a pin in it. We'll get back to it later. Going through the pandemic made it easier to be single. No one is pointing out that you are a solterona because you can't leave your house or go anywhere to meet dudes. But still, the pandemic is winding down. Okay, that statement needs the biggest asterisk of all. At some point, someone will point out how single I am and how pathetic that is. It happens more frequently than you might imagine. Then you get the, well, don't be so picky, or you're not getting any younger, or don't worry, it'll happen. It's not happening. And you know what? That's fine. For real. A lot of folks will say that's fine, but secretly hope and wish for that storybook romance. Praying for it. Not me though. I quit. I'm done. I'm out. Te aviso, te anuncio que ya renuncié hace 2 años. And I want to normalize being a solterona. There is nothing to be ashamed of just because out of the millions of fish in the sea, I couldn't catch one. It's fine, honestly. As we will get into in the video, I am much better off this way. And guess what? There are people in your life who are also better off being alone, and you don't need to worry about them, about us. We are good. I know in Hispanic culture that's super weird and ew, but I promise you, it's cool, for real. I do want to make a disclaimer before we dive right in. As a feminist, liberal, coastal elite, folks might think I'm trying to destroy the fabric of our society. My liberal cuck agenda is to make sure everyone is single and no one ever gets married again or has babies. Ever. No, not at all. If you found your significant other, I'm super delighted for you. I want you to grow old and happier together. If you are still on that journey, I wish that you find someone that makes you smile every day and is a true partner in life. My agenda here is just to let you guys know that being alone is fine. Don't pity us. Don't try and convince us otherwise. I want to normalize that being alone doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you, or that you have to change, or that you need someone to save you from yourself. Being a solterona is okay, as you will see, hopefully. Let's get this show on the road. Vow Uno, mating. Many folks will point to nature and the animal kingdom for mating and coupling norms. Some alpha males will say that things like monogamy or men taking care of the kids are not natural. Others will use the animal kingdom to justify homophobia. There are monogamous animals like penguins, beavers, and wolves. Male seahorses are the pregnant ones, and those animals who mate for life take care of the offspring together. together. Plus, there are homosexual animals too. Also, genetic diversity makes for better and stronger progeny, so stop being racist. Using the animal kingdom as proof that everyone has to couple and mate because nature doesn't work. What species are we going with then? The mate for life? The alone all the time until mating season? The mate once and then die? Pon farr? Real old school nerds, that joke's for you. We can't do like the animal world does because, as Agent Smith points out,
human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague.
So true. But that is a topic for another video. The thing I think we should take away from the animal kingdom is learn to adapt to the world around you. Some animals are in packs for resources and survival. Other animals are alone for survival and not having to share resources. Sometimes donkeys fall in love with dragons and have babies, and it all works out well. Whatever works best for you and your community, do that. My basic rule of thumb is if it is safe and consensual, have at it. Go wild. It's all ponies and rainbows anyway. But what if your family or culture expects a strict traditional lifestyle? What then? Let's discuss. Vow Dos. Cultural coupling. If you didn't know me, the person you are watching, hi, Ruby Perez Ochoa. I am an American with Mexican roots. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you are a female in Hispanic culture in general, you reach Solterona age at 25. And if we lean into the stereotype, by the time you are 25, you have been married for a couple of years and have already popped out a kid or two. Hoi gewalt. Sorry, that was my ovaries that don't work apologizing to me. How and why my ovaries are Jewish? Mysteries of life. In Hispanic culture in general, the biggest and best accomplishment you can achieve is getting married and having babies. Outside of that, nothing else matters. Education, business, bettering the world at large, none of that matters if you are single. Childlessness is like, because you end up taking care of all the children and people in your immediate vicinity anyways. You take care of your significant other, direct family, extended family, other people's kids, found family. For a lot of us, you end up taking care of everyone you've ever met, and that's kind of what's expected of you. So, it's fine if you don't have any kids of your own. But singledom? Oof, it's a cancer. So much so that if you're asked your relationship status and you say you are single, you'll get the, oh, pobrecita. Don't worry, things will get better. Guys are less picky as they get older. Last call when you are super drunk and will choose literally anything that breathes. Works out sometimes. That kind of thing. I've always been a bit weary of getting married. As a Hispanic woman, there is a lot of pressure your family, your spouse's family, and the culture at large put on you. You're supposed to take care of your husband like you are a paid caretaker. I know some folks will be like, well, he earns the money, so it's only fair for you to take care of him. I'm sorry, but no. Unlike the housewives of middle-class white families in the 1950s, Hispanic couples don't work that way. Both parties have to work. How many of you, my Hispanic family, have moms who worked all day, had a spotless house, made sure the kids were taken care of, and cooked every evening? Our moms and grandmas were living the dream feminists of the 1980s had of having it all. Our moms didn't do all of that as a flex. They just did it because that's what you had to do. In our culture, unfortunately, many of our moms were left to be badasses by themselves. Since a lot of Hispanic males think of themselves as alpha males, they'll abandon their families to follow their wee-wees to greener pastures. As the female in the relationship, you are supposed to grin and bear it because men will be men, and he married you, so you should be happy with that. Now go make food. As the female in marriage, there are a lot of old-timey sexism and double standards you're supposed to ignore or just deal with. You achieved the most that you could. You got married. What more do you want? It's not so much a partnership as it is well, at least you're not single anymore. That would be the real tragedy. Now, not all marriages were/are like that, but enough of them were/are. A good comedian could do an entire Netflix comedy special on this topic. I was afraid of that kind of life you just have to deal with. That's not at all what I wanted. Since that was a possibility, that's probably why I became super racist in my dating habits and only dated white boys.
It's about to be a white boy summer.
I was like, yeah, that's the ticket. A white boy will want a real partner in life. They're not obsessed with sexist traditional values. Also, as touched on in a few videos now, whiteness is the ultimate Hispanic goal. So yeah, sorry. Partnerships, in theory, are an equal 50-50 split. Spoilers, not always. Good couples will try their best to do the 50-50 split, and if you are one of those, I applaud you. You're doing great. In general, though, one person does so much more than the other person. One person makes the other person's life so much better, exponentially better, measurably better. You could do the math. And that sounds terrible too, especially since most of my friendships have been transactional, for lack of a better term. Unless these folks needed something, I didn't really exist. All of that together didn't make for me stampeding to the wedding chapel. And also the, pardon my foul mouth, boys I dated didn't help. Let's get into that. Vow Tres. I'm out. This section should be called Chisme Time. Sometime in November of 2019 was the last time I went out with a gentleman caller, aka the last boy I left the house to meet. If you've watched this video about not being a real Latina, I talk about a guy I refer to as racial fetishist Daniel. That's the last guy I went out with. He was pretty hot and I liked him a lot. I also remember saying to myself, if this one doesn't work out, I quit. It didn't, and here I am. It's not just that one or a couple of gentleman suitors didn't work out. Turns out all the guys I dated were grade A prime boy. I'm not being a bitter old lady. It's quantifiable. They are boys, and I don't need that in my life. No one needs that, but especially me. I'm old, I have a bad hip, my ovaries don't work. Most importantly though, my self-esteem and my self-worth were affected greatly by these boys. It's fascinating how all of these boys had what I like to call the boy Gettysburg Address. It's a speech that all these dudes know to tell you to berate and demoralize you so that you'll put up with their lousy attitude and tolerate their bad behavior. What is this boy Gettysburg, you ask? Well, it taps into insecurities you already have about your appearance, attitude, and worth as a human woman. There are variants, but this is the one I got over and over and over and over again. I'm gonna need another margarita. Here we go. A girl like you should take care of a guy when he shows interest. You're lucky anyone pays attention to you. You're not the kind of girl I could get serious with. You thought I wanted to meet up just so we wouldn't You really need to go on a diet. No other girl replied to my message and you have boobs, so here we are. Guys only like pretty girls, not, like you. Guys don't like it when girls are smarter. You're too ugly to be this picky. Don't be funnier than me. You're lucky I'm not into looks. I'll put you on a diet. You'll look great. You're the kind of girl that's only good for a good time. I can see why guys ghost you. You're cool, I guess. I could go on, but then we'd have to talk about the rape/death threats, and no one needs to relive that. Luckily, those were only through messages, and those messages are not really boy style. Those are regular stupid misogynists. And I know you're wondering why I would go out with these guys. Well, through messages and brief phone calls, they were cool. Like true boys, they would tell me what I wanted to hear, and as soon as I figured out I wasn't as easy as they hoped for, that's when the boy Gettysburg would come out. Flattery got them nowhere, so maybe berating me would make me reconsider and prove that I was indeed cool. The cool girl. Dang, that speech from Gone Girl really hits.
She's a cool girl. Cool girl is hot. Cool girl is gay. Cool girl is fun. Cool girl never gets angry at her man.
Anyway, there were those guys. Then there were the guys who would just ghost. I got ghosted a lot. Also, that messes with your self-esteem because you can't help but feel like you're not human. These guys are not treating me like a person and giving me the little decency of saying thanks but no thanks. I know that's a tough conversation. I've done it. It sucks. But please treat me like a person. I ask so little. The worst guys, though, were the ones who would zombie. They'd disappear for about a month, then they'd come back. I learned very quickly that was because they were talking/meeting up with other girls, and when that didn't work out, they'd come back to me. Further cementing for me the idea that no one cares about me. It's all about how useful I am to other people. I only exist when you need something. All of that together is very not good. You're probably like, so you had a few dates. Who hasn't? That's not enough for you to quit and close yourself off to that part of life. It is, actually. If it was only a couple of bad dates, then yeah, I'm being dramatic.
Televisa presenta.
But it was every single date I went on, or every guy I was involved with. Every single one. Since it was every single one, I started to internalize all of the things they'd say over and over again. On top of that, I had friends who would tell me they were too busy to hang out with me, but then I'd see them on social media having a good time with other folks. I was rejected from universities when I applied for grad school. I couldn't get a job. Everything I tried, I failed at. This was all happening at the same time. So I did really start to think, these guys are right. I do suck. No one likes me. I'm lucky anyone gives me the time of day. I am a loser. I am a failure. The best I could do in any situation is be the second choice, the plan B, the afterthought. And these thoughts escalated. It really got to the point of, wow, I really am insignificant. No one would notice if I was gone. Thankfully, the ideation didn't go beyond those dark thoughts. I can't do that to my immediate family. But the fact that I was having those thoughts was enough for me to quit. I had to. Why continue to subject myself to all of that? I gained nothing positive. My self-esteem, my self-worth were not just on the floor, they were in hell. How much crap would I be putting up with if I let one of those boys mold me into what they wanted? Also, I wouldn't be labeled Solterona. All because, poor thing, she's single. And this is why I wanted to talk about this and destigmatize the idea that being single is bad. I know I'm an extreme example, but I'm not the only one. So many of us, men, women, and those who lie us betwixt, endure bad dates, terrible relationships, awful treatment from people who are supposed to add something positive to your life and do nothing but make you feel small, insignificant, and overall just bad. And people will put up with it because being single, alone, by yourself is somehow worse. This is a bigger stigma for women. If you are single, it must be because you couldn't find a man or keep a man or make your relationship work. That's why single women have a lot of derogatory terms for their singledom, and men don't. We are spinsters, solteronas, old maids, etc. Men just have bachelor. That's it. Being a forever bachelor is fine culturally. I've been calling dudes boys this entire time, and even that term isn't really an offensive one. It's a joke. It implies these guys will grow up and be respectable men, I guess. I wanted to take away the stigma and normalize being alone. There is nothing wrong with you. That life isn't for you, and that's fine. You're going to be fine. It's all good. De veras. Final thoughts. I am really, truly, honestly done with dating and trying to find a man. I used to have this fantasy where I'd run into a guy it didn't work out with, and they'd see how I moved on to someone hotter, smarter, better than them. The fantasy is now to run into one of those guys and tell them proudly that I chose to be alone rather than put up with their crap. That would be so sweet. I know some folks are still like, what if you did find someone good? What then? Still no. I am so closed off and guarded and cynical. I would not be able to trust that a good dude is actually a good dude. He'd be like, hey girl, and I'd be like, nope, I don't buy it. As much as I love LA, this is a terrible place to date. Just awful. It's probably my fault though, for only dating hot leggy blondes. But seriously, it's atrocious out here. And for family and friends who are watching this, I am fine. There's no need to be concerned. For real, estoy bien, no problem. In my extended family, there is concern for me, I'm sure, but in my immediate family, there isn't. My sister is concerned for my financial future, and that's 100% valid. One day, this channel will be successful, or one of the lottery tickets I buy in the future is bound to be a winner. My mom is concerned that I'll be alone. For years, I thought that meant she wanted me to have a husband, but a while back she told me, no, I want you to have kids. Kids to take care of me like we take care of her. My ovaries don't work, but with science and money, that shouldn't be a problem. I don't think I have the emotional strength to be a good parent. Being a parent is tough, and I have no idea how you badass parents do it. Having kids is not completely off the table, but it's not in the cards for the next few years. Life is wild though, and will throw all kinds of things at you. You will be surprised how you can and will rise to the occasion and come out stronger. I have like dreams of my kids and my mom doing like pool hustles or other kind of hustles to get people out of their money. That'd be adorable actually. Remember to do what is best for you, what makes you happy and gives you joy. I'll continue to focus on making my family's life better, working on making this channel a thing, and go back to writing some fan fiction. I love how the villain on the Superman and Lois show is a super hot daddy, and the Superman's kind of janky. Come on, CW, Brandon Routh was right there. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, and enjoying action movie trash. Do you have any idea how many Steven Seagal movies I've seen? Eating hot Cheetos and watching the CW Arrowverse. Follow your bliss, live in peace. Salud, mi familia. Eradicator should have had those Bret Hart sunglasses. That would have been cool.